This is Julien, the French winemaking guy who makes wine videos here on YouTube. Yes, wine videos and sometimes wine pronunciation videos. And we are looking at the top 12 most difficult wine names to pronounce in the world of wine. Those 12 names that everyone hears about or knows about if you are a wine geek or a wine connoisseur, but that are just very, very hard to pronounce. Well, today we're going to sort things out and sort out your pronunciation, and you're going to be knowing exactly how to go about pronouncing those. So we're going to be sticking to famous wine names. There's probably harder names out there to pronounce, but we're going to be sticking to the top 12, the most famous ones that you should absolutely know how they should be pronounced. Let's start off with number 1, Cabernet Sauvignon. You're probably saying something along the lines of, or tempted to say, Cabernet Sauvignon. Cabernet Sauvignon? No, the typical French pronunciation, Cabernet Sauvignon. Cabernet Sauvignon. Typical, really French with the French R would be Cabernet Sauvignon. Cabernet Sauvignon. But it'd be fine to say Cabernet Sauvignon, as long as you don't pronounce the T at the end and don't say Sauvignon, but rather Sauvignon. Cabernet Sauvignon or Cabernet Sauvignon. Number 2 is another white wine, well, another wine from Bordeaux, I should say, a sweet white wine. You've probably heard of Chateau Pichon, one of the most famous of all estates in the world, and certainly in Bordeaux. Chateau Pichon is made around the village in the appellation of, how do you go about pronouncing this? Sauternes. Do not pronounce the S in French. The last letter is often silent, very often silent. It is the case here, Sauternes. Sauternes for the typical French pronunciation, Sauternes. Sauternes. Les vins de Sauternes, the wines from Sauternes. Now we're going on the German thing. The German grape variety here, white grape variety. Well, is it German? Well, it's actually more used in Austria, I should say. And this, how do you go about pronouncing this? It's pretty straightforward once you know. Gruner Veltliner. Gruner Veltliner. You do want to insist on the I here. That is not pronounced as an I. It's not Gruner Veltliner, but rather Veltliner. And you do want to emphasize on it. So Gruner Veltliner. Gruner Veltliner. Delicious white wines. I personally love them. And yeah, made a mistake here with that flag. Should be Austrian flag here. Gruner Veltliner. Oh, we're staying in Europe, but going to Greece, and this is probably one of the most famous of all grape varieties in Greece, a delicious red grape that makes some, very spicy, fragrant, relatively light red wines. This is a little bit of the Pinot Noir from Greece. If you haven't tried a wine from Xinomavro, well, you should definitely, and next time you go to your wine shop or your restaurant, maybe ask for a Xinomavro. 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 I couldn't really do the exact Greek pronunciation. I don't speak Greece, but in short, Xinomavro. Number 5, another French white grape variety from Bordeaux. Yes, everyone says Semillon or something along those lines. Semillon. Well, you ought to say, if you want to sound French and genuine and knowledgeable, Semillon. Semillon. With the typical French pronunciation, it'd be fine to say Semillon, Semillon. But do not pronounce those double L's like an L. In French, when there's an I followed by double L's, it sounds more like a Y. Semillon, Semillon. A famous, the most famous of all Spanish appellations, of all Spanish wines. Everyone knows about this place, about this area, about this region, but who can pronounce it properly? Well, in Spanish, for the typical Spanish pronunciation, you ought to say Rioja, 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 Rioja. It'd be fine to say something along the lines of Rioja, Rioja. But you ought to roll the R like the Spanish do, and then, pronounce the J from the bottom of your throat, Rioja, Rioja. Number 7, another French white grape. Those French white grapes are really hard to pronounce, aren't they? Viognier, Vionnet. It's a delicious grape with fantastic notes of apricot and white peach and some oily textural wines. I love a good Viognier wines. If you're not familiar with it, again, ask your sommelier for a nice Viognier wine. Viognier. a bit of an obscure appellation in the Loire Valley, but making some fantastic Cabernet Franc red wines in the Loire Valley. The wines of, how do you go about pronouncing this word with all these vowels everywhere? Well, it's fairly straightforward once you know. Bourgueil. Bourgueil. For the typical French pronunciation, Bourgueil. Bourgueil. But it'd be fine to say Bourgueil. Bourgueil. Now we're going with a wine, the best Vionnet wines. We were talking about wines made from Viognier, the white wines. Well, this is the best appellation, the best area in France and in the world for making delicious Viognier wines in the Rhone Valley of France. The appellation that is called Condrieu. Typical French pronunciation, Condrieu. Again, if you haven't tried a Condrieu wine, wow, they're just so delicious. So ask your wine supplier for a good Condrieu wine. Condrieu. It'd be fine to say Condrieu. Condrieu. If you can, say Condrieu. Condrieu. Oh, and another French grape, red one, this one. Grown in the south of France, most generally around the area of Languedoc. It is grown in the north of Spain as well. The grape variety that is called Mourvedre. For the typical French pronunciation, Mourvedre. Mourvedre. But it'd be fine to say Mourvedre. Mourvedre. Do pronounce the last E here if you can. Mourvedre. 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 Number 11, the last before the list, well, not least, Chateau Pichon Longueville Comtesse de Lalande, one of the most famous of all chateaux in the border wine region of France, but one with probably, arguably, the longest name and the hardest one to pronounce. Chateau Pichon Longueville Comtesse de Lalande, that makes some delicious red wines in the area, the appellation around the town of Pauillac. Chateau Pichon Longueville Comtesse de Lalande, Pauillac. And finally, we're back to Germany with one of the longest words in the world of wine. This corresponds to white wines made from really dried white grapes that have been affected by botrytis and then dried on the vines, very, very, very late harvest grapes, or grapes harvested very, very, very late, and that makes some sweet wines in that particular style that is called Trockenbeerenauslese. Trockenbeerenauslese. Again, my German pronunciation is probably not perfect, but it's certainly something along the lines of Trockenbeerenauslese, and I think that's probably the hardest word in the world of wine to pronounce, at least when you see it like this. Once you know, it's not too bad. Trockenbeerenauslese. Trockenbeerenauslese, making some of the most expensive wines in the world. Yes, if you look at the list of all the most expensive wines in the world, many, many Burgundies, but also many Riesling Trockenbeerenauslese from the Mosel. And that was it for me for today. I hope you learned something today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Here are more videos if you like learning about wine. Check out the rest of my YouTube channel where we share the passion and learn more and more about wine every day. I will leave you to it, and I will see you soon in the wonderful world of wine. Au revoir. Bye-bye.